and looking at the top 5 coaches in the ACC list, okay? Again, this was put together by the folks from Locked On. So I'm going to put this on the screen now. And it's going to be over us. We're still going to be talking, though. When you look at these 5, I know that there's some instant reactions and feelings. Y'all can't see Grayson's face, but I can. And it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting face. And, of course, we're going to start from 1 and go down to 5 because that's what we do on this show. Generally, 1 through 2 or 3 are normally easy. But I don't even think so in this case. Number 1, the oh shucks, well, I guess we're kind of good, but the world doesn't like us guy from Alabama, Dabo Swinney. What do you say? Does that make sense to you?
I mean, you can put any other coach at number 1, but you'd be simply lying to yourself. It is Dabo at 1. That's indisputable. The championships, the recruiting, the national brand that Clemson has become in the last, 5, 6, 7 years. He's number 1. He's the best coach in the ACC. There's no doubt about it. Probably will be still for some time to come, barring some unforeseen circumstances there. But Clemson, they're the top dog to beat every year. That's not by accident either. It's Dabo at 1.
And let me say this. For the people who say, well, Dabo isn't a tactician or he doesn't call plays or he's never been a coordinator. It is not about your X's and your O's. It's about your Jimmys, your Larrys, and your Joes. And he's got some guys over there that are just different. You understand? And the ability to get those guys who are just different is what matters because that results in a lot of W's. And that's the reality there.
I'll say this real quick about coordinating, though. If you want to see some offensive coordination out of Clemson, I think you're going to get that this year with them bringing in Garrett Riley from TCU.
Absolutely. And then we're looking at Mike Norvell at number 2, a little bit of a shocker to some people. But Mike Norvell, named as the second best coach in the ACC. What say you, Mr. Boo?
I don't know about this one. I'm not sure that he's won enough at Florida State to warrant this 2 spot. I think this 2 spot is probably some anticipation for what they might come into this year. Of course, Florida State, they did win 10 games last year in 2022, but this is what, his 3rd year there in Tallahassee?
Yep, 3rd year. Well, this is going to be his 4th.
Okay, this will be his 4th. So yep. I believe, so let's see. He started in 2020, yes?
Yep.
So he went, 3-6, 5-7, now 10-3?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
With one bowl win, I think?
Yeah. The other 2 years, he did not go to a bowl game. Yep.
I don't think that's number 2 in the conference. Sorry. But, I mean, we do this at the end of the season. I could be very wrong because Florida State's probably going to have a pretty good year. But I just don't know right now. I'm not sure why he'd be at the 2 spot there.
Okay. All right. And I'll tell you this about the Mike Norvell being a 2 thing. I tend to agree with you because while people say, oh, he took over a program that was on fire from Willie Taggart, do you think that Willie Taggart took over a program that was well put together when Jimbo left? Like, very seriously, and and I'm not joking, this isn't a like, ha ha, he, I'm making this up type thing. You can go Google this. One of the things that Willie Taggart was greatly criticized for while he was a head coach at Florida State was because they had something going on with their hotels or travel that it wasn't booked properly. And people blame Willie Taggart for that. Now, as somebody who played FBS football, ACC football in particular at NC State, I'm trying to tell you that's not the head coach's job. It never is. It's never the head coach's job. If you think that Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Jim Harbaugh, any of the best, heck, any of the average ones, any of the ones that you think are middle of the road, again, I'm talking about Dave Doran, who, by the way, we'll get to him on this list or omission on this list very shortly. Well, actually, you've already seen the list, but Dave Doran's not on this list. He didn't book to travel. So to then say, well, he just took over a bad program and he had to, take it from the ground up. I mean, okay. But I will say this, a 10-win season, if this is based on who you think is going to have the best season, I get it. But if you're saying, who would you rather have on the sidelines? You've got two teams that are virtually equally matched. Who would you have on the sidelines to say, I think that this guy gets it done? I'm not sure if Norvell is that guy. I'm just not. But the third guy is a Dave that's not Dave Dorn, since we just got off talking about him. Mr. Clawson from little old Winston-Salem. What do you think about Dave Clawson being the number 3 coach in the ACC?
This one's an interesting one. I think he certainly deserves to be in the top 5. To be honest, I think he could be anywhere from 2 to 5. I think he could fit anywhere in those 4 spots. But I think for Clawson, probably a lot of heavy lifting from Sam Hartman and A.T. Perry there.
Right.
But Wake, not exactly the biggest name in college football or maybe even ACC football, but they've been pretty consistent, over the last, we'll say 6-ish years. I think Clawson's won 5 bowl games, which is, that's pretty solid for Wake Forest. But, I'll be interested to see if he earns this 3 spot this year. What can you do without a Sam Hartman, without these top receivers? That I think that, a good season. Yeah, I'd give him, top 3 coaches in the ACC.
Okay. And you know what? When I look at Clawson, I say dependable, steady Eddie.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a disciplined team and all that. But I do agree that Sam Hartman elevated that program to a very high level. And playing without one very significant Larry or Joe is kind of part of being a good coach. Replacing that Joe with a good Larry is a part of the job. So is Mitch Griffiths ready to be that guy? We'll see. Number 4, your man, your homeboy, Mack Brown. What are you thinking there, Grayson?
Yeah. Listen, bias aside, he ain't my homeboy. I'll tell you that much. But Mack Brown, I think this is another one. What have you done for the ACC lately? What have you done for North Carolina lately? You've had, okay, this is gonna sound like very negative, but you had a Sam Howell, Heisman potential. What did you do with him? You didn't do anything with him. You really didn't accomplish like anything. Drake May, another Heisman potential guy, had a very good year last year. I probably would expect him to have a very good year this year. But outside of Drake May, the rest of the team, the defense has been Swiss cheese at times. I don't know. I don't know if you can claim him to be a top 5 coach in the ACC. Maybe a top 5 program, but it's nothing that I think he has done outside of maybe some recruiting there. But I don't know. Kenton, take this away. I'm probably too biased to answer this one.
I mean, listen, when I say your homeboy, it's like when your friend sees that one person they don't like, you're like, oh, there goes your friend.
Oh, that's your man over there.
That's it. Oh, there goes your. But anyway, I'll say this about Mack Brown. In his defense, he was the last Coastal champion. He was the last Coastal champion. In his offense or in offense of him and saying like, hey, I don't think you're all that. There is also the fact that the Coastal was terrible. It was so bad last year.
It really ain't saying a whole lot there.
Like, very seriously, who was the 3rd best team in the Coastal last year, would you say? Who was the team that you look at the Coastal and say, like, yeah, they could probably give any team from the Atlantic a run for their money last year?
Miami? I don't know. I mean,
my point exactly. And Mario was telling parents, come get your stupid boy. Get him. Yeah. Come get him then. If you want him so bad, don't like the way I'm treating him, come get him. But I'm joking. That's hyperbole, folks. But with that being said, I surely see Mack Brown as one where I'm like, I get it because you won the last Coastal Championship ever, hopefully. But also, like, it's tough. It's tough. And at number 5, Pat Narduzzi from Pitt. Grayson, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think another one deserves to be in this top 5. He's, recently won an ACC championship title. He's putting together some pretty solid teams the last, 5-ish years. Got a big help by the year of Kenny Pickett. Last year, pretty solid. I think they still won 9 games. Probably projected to be, close to the same this year. Pat Narduzzi's a good coach, been around a long time, been with Pitt, I think, for close to like 7 or 8 years now. Pretty good model of consistency, a little bit like a Dave Clawson. So yeah, I like Narduzzi in this top 5. He is a good coach. I actually like him a lot.
Coach Narduzzi is the one guy on this list I can say without certainty, underrated.
Yeah.
Underrated. This is him at 5 is kind of criminal. Like the man, like you talked about Wake Forest, just finding different ways to win throughout the season. Well, I want to expand that over Narduzzi's career as a head coach there. He won with Kenny Pickett when it was like the high octane offense with him and Addison and, you know, all that good stuff. He won with a quarterback that had a wet noodle for an arm in Slovich, but you had to run the ball and play physical with Israel Abanikanda. He did that. He's producing NFL caliber players on that defense every single year. I mean, it doesn't matter where the recruiting class ranks. You can bet your behind that there's going to be 3 to 4 players off of every defense that Narduzzi coaches going to play on Sundays, hearing their name called on draft day. And so I think he's underrated here. I think he's the guy that's underrated out of this group. So, you know, that's just my thought there. That's me and Grayson breaking down the top 5 coaches. And we're looking at what we have here, Grayson. What do you think the chances are that Wake Forest gets to the Natty? What do you think?
Oh, this is baseball. Sorry, I had to change gears in my brain there for a second.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
In Omaha, I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, they have absolutely all the tools they need to, you know, finish the job off with LSU and advance to this final series with Florida. But it is probably the best college baseball pitching matchup you could possibly imagine in Skeens versus Louder on Thursday night. So, I mean, Wake Forest fans, you got to buckle up because it's going to be nerve-wracking to say the absolute least. But I mean, as a Wake Forest baseball fan, it is everything you could want in a thrilling, meaningful, national prominence, big-time game in Omaha for your Demon Deacons.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with that being said, Grayson, thank you so very much for showing up. Locked On ACC listeners, if you disagree with us, please tell us. I don't know why I said that because y'all are going to do it anyway. If you agree with us, also tell us. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and that like button. Thank y'all so very much for coming out. Y'all make this show what it is every single time. Till next time, folks. Again, it's another great episode of Locked On ACC.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.